What's up, guys? Firearms here, and today we're going to continue the series of firearms that the internet ruined, right? We've already covered the Smith & Wesson CSX having a terrible release. GunTubers received it, talked terrible about it, and it literally ruined that firearm for a lot of people that didn't even go out and try it, didn't try renting it, or anything like that after they see these videos. And that is the problem with online, and that's something that I always warn my people about is if you are watching these videos, that's part of the battle. The other part is actually picking it up and testing it and using it for yourself and seeing if it fits for you or works for you. Because I've found tons of firearms that have gotten poor reviews because of this feature or that feature or how it feels, but it just works out for me. The other one we did was the CZ P10M, being their micro compact release that was aimed and geared towards pocket carry. Obviously, it failed to a lot of people, having a little bit heavier trigger due to being a pocket pistol, which is common with the LCPs, the bodyguards, the Spectrums. That is pocket pistols, but people still talk down on it. They also didn't like the fact it had no slide stop. To them, that ruined the firearm, when in reality, it's making a pocket pistol once again. So it is what it is. I get why they talked down on the CZ-P10M. It was a late release. It was a single stack. They could have put out a stack and a half micro 9, but they didn't. This is not what we're talking about today. We're going to be talking about the Springfield Armory XD Mod 2s. Now, one thing I do like about my channel over here is we don't just touch on new firearms. A lot of channels simply only touch on new releases, the biggest hype, whatever firearm companies are sending out to them to review, right? Let's say, we're talking about Smith & Wesson. They're not going to send you an M&P Compact 40C. One, it's in 40, and there's no market for that anymore. And on top of that, it's an older generation. They're going to send you the most brand new thing. So a lot of people forget about other options that are actually really well made. And on top of that, firearms aren't made the way they used to be. Look at SIG, for example. Their hammer fireds versus their striker fireds nowadays. I love their hammer fireds, cannot stand their new releases. Anyways, let's talk about it. What ruined this handgun? Well, there's a bunch of things. One, Springfield Armory. They had some situation. Obviously, it was like one or two people from the company sort of, acting against the, Second Amendment, right? For money and stuff like that. The next thing was it's made in Croatia. For a lot of people, they'll buy a Chinese Holosun. They have no problem with it. They'll buy their car that's made in Mexico. They have no problem with it. But they see that's made in Croatia and it automatically makes it a piece of crap. When in reality, these handguns are well made and tested. Another thing. They say that this firearm is only like $250, $300 over in Croatia. Okay. The military is buying the 6-hour P320s for $230 a pop from SIG. And guess what SIG's charging you for the SIG P320? Probably $450 to $500. But they're charging our military $230. Now, should they charge our military less? Of course. But in order to make a profit, how much does it cost to make that SIG? A lot of firearms don't have a big profit margin, but they're making $250 off you guys on the P320s, right? So it is what it is. So people are going to say whatever they want to say. Let them. But what really ruined this handgun is the grip zone. The grip zone. Yes, the freaking grip zone. Now, I don't think the internet was as popular, or, people didn't realize they could have whatever voice and say whatever they want without facing any consequences. I don't think that was a big thing back then, but it definitely is now. And this little phrase or two-word sentence literally ruined this handgun, right? Let's talk about these handguns. Right here is a subcompact Mod 2. My actual first handgun I ever got was the Mod 1. This one right here is in 45. It's a little bit bigger in every dimension. This right here is going to be 13 plus 1 and 9 millimeter. This one right here is going to be 9 plus 1 and 45. Now here's what the size looks like. Basically the same size, except for the 45 is a little longer in that barrel and slide, right? Absolutely love both these handguns. My very first handgun, for a lot of people who don't know, was an XD Mod 1. It was all black. I still have it. It's sitting at about 14,000 rounds. I rarely ever take to the range anymore. I have a lot of handguns, and I prefer to shoot my main carries. But I did carry that handgun for quite a long time, and it never let me down. And that was my very first handgun, and it's actually what got me comfortable with carrying around in the chamber. It has a safety feature on it, the grip safety. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of grip safeties nowadays, and a lot of people aren't, but when you're learning to carry with around in the chamber and you carry appendix aimed at your manhood, this thing makes you feel just the slightest bit better. And on top of that, if you just maintain a decent grip, you can hold it in multiple spots. Just has to be pressed down about 75% of the way, it will be activated. So that is one thing about this firearm that I liked a lot, was the safety features. Also, you have, striker indicators, witness holes, loaded chamber indicators. For a beginner to firearms, this is the way to go. It's got a thick, heavy slide. Yes, it may be a little bit thicker, but it's a very shootable handgun and a very easy handgun to learn on. And what's interesting about this handgun is the number one thing that they talked down on being the writing. It took away from the complete part of the firearm that you're supposed to focus on, which is the grip zone. My XD Mod 1 is not the most comfortable firearm in the world. It barely has any traction or, stippling or any texturing on it. Whereas these, they completely upgraded. So they're showing that they listened to the customer base and actually went and made some changes. Something Glock doesn't do. Something a lot of companies out here don't do. They listen to you guys, wanted more texturing, more grip, more ergonomic, and they gave it to you. But they were dumb and labeled it grip zone, as if we don't know that. Now, it always reminds me of like AutoZone. That's what I think of when I think of this crap. So I always get like a little jingle in my head, and we're actually going to create the grip zone song, right? Anyways, this one right here, 9mm, 13+1. No forward serrations, they don't really matter. Rear serrations, awesome Springfield Armory fiber optic sights. Have that nice red front, which I actually do like during daytime. Has a rail, and like I said, the ergonomics and grip is perfect. The texturing is perfect. Now, you only get 2 fingers on the handgun, but this is one of the smoothest shooting subcompacts out there. It's smoother than a Glock 26. Probably about pretty even with the Smith & Wesson subcompact series. Definitely smoother shooting than the CZ P10M, and the trigger isn't that bad. And for being in 45, being such a small firearm, relatively speaking, obviously it's not a single stack, but for how small it is, being same size roughly as this subcompact, or like a Glock 27, just a little bit bigger, about the same size as a Glock 30, this thing handles recoil really well. One thing I always commend Springfield Armory on, or actually 2 things. One is their magazine quality. They have the best magazine quality on the market and the most affordable. You also rarely hear of Springfields having reliability issues, and that's why I like these handguns. They are reliable. My Hellcats have 20,000 plus rounds between the 3 of them. My Springfield XD, 14,500 plus rounds through it, no problems. We're putting these through their paces, and you can find them used. I got this for $300 used, and I got this for $275 used. So, absolutely, you can find this stuff out there. Nobody buys subcompacts anymore, especially in 45, especially from Springfield Armory. So, literally, you can find amazing deals for almost brand new firearms. Literally, they look like they've never even been used before. And the other thing I always commend Springfield Armory on is their stainless finish. They offer almost every handgun model, the XDSs, the XDEs, Springfield Armory Hellcats, Hellcat Pros, XDs, XDMs. They offer everything in this stainless setup, which I really like. I wish Glock offered that on their firearms, because one of my favorite, color combinations is stainless. And to offer it right from the factory, it makes everyone's life easier with not having to send it out or pay extra money, or at least pay too much extra money, right? You don't want to be paying $200, $300, $400 when they could just do it, in bulk and give it to you for a $50 paint job, or finish job, right? So, 2 awesome handguns right here. Let's look at the trigger. Actually, pretty decent. It's better than my Glock triggers, a little bit lighter, a little bit smoother. Reset maybe a little bit longer, a little bit of over travel. If you saw that, check out reset. Here's that break. You see that? A little bit of travel before that wall, but a very smooth trigger. Let's check out the 45, which shoots like an absolute, champ. There's no recoil shooting these things. Very clean, crisp, basically the same exact trigger. Literally no different. I do not feel a difference at all. It definitely is better than my Glock triggers, right? But not better than the Apex in that one. So what is my point? My point is, sometimes with firearms, with people being so picky and how soft the world is nowadays, they let something so small, minuscule, minute, ruin a firearm for them. And it's just sad. Like, it's just, there's so many great options out there, and I get crapped on all day for bringing them to the forefront. But there's a lot of good discontinued firearms out there that are definitely made better than the firearms that are made today. Nowadays, it's issue city, and firearms don't last past a couple thousand rounds, and springs are going, and out of spec stuff. Quality control's down the drain. People are hiring based off, certain checked boxes instead of skill. I mean, that's just what we're getting in the firearm industry right now. So the older made firearms are sometimes just better. Even though they're discontinued, Two awesome firearms right here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.